This is Stories Build Businesses, the show that proves your story isn't just something to tell, it's a strategy that builds a business that's uncopyable, unforgettable, and unmistakably you. I'm your host, Megan Wright, story and strategy coach, and today we're talking about visibility and vulnerability. And more specifically, what it actually takes to show up online when every part of you would rather hide. When I first started posting online, I did hide. Not completely, but definitely to a significant amount. And the main way I hid was inside Canva graphics. I loved fonts, I loved color palettes, I loved making things look pretty. It felt productive, it felt like I was building a business. But most importantly at that time, it felt safe. Because the thing is, visibility can feel like exposure. It can feel like standing in the spotlight and hoping no one notices your vulnerabilities or insecurities. Maybe you felt this as well. You know that showing your face helps. You know that posting videos build connections. You know that people buy from people. But knowing that does not get rid of the discomfort, especially when you're already learning a whole host of new skills, already stretching yourself, already navigating the identity shift of becoming someone who's building and running a business. Adding put your face on the internet to that list, it can feel like one step too far, or at least it did to me. And the thing that I've come to realize whilst being in the online business space is that visibility isn't hard because we don't understand marketing. It's hard because it activates our nervous system. Because when we talk about visibility, what we're really talking about is vulnerability. And that's a very different conversation. For example, when I started my Instagram account for my business, I didn't invite a single friend or family member to follow me. I started from absolutely zero. Because although I knew in my heart that they'd probably be supportive, I didn't want the commentary. I didn't want the, oh, what's she doing now? I didn't want people from school or past jobs watching and forming opinions about me. There was that little negative voice in my head that said, well, if this doesn't all work out, they'll all know about it. So I created a bubble when no one from my personal or real life had access to my Instagram, and a bubble where I stayed in Canva. I would spend hours tweaking a graphic, adjusting margins, changing font sizes by like half a point, the whole time telling myself that I was creating content and being really productive for my business. But really, I was just avoiding being seen. I remember the first time I posted my face on Instagram feeling physically uncomfortable, to the point that I posted it and then I left my phone at home and went out for the day because I couldn't cope with the uncertainty around what response that post would get. And what's wild is that within about a month, that feeling, that, oh my God, pit of my stomach, I feel so awkward, had mostly gone. And it wasn't because I suddenly loved taking photos of myself or loved filming myself doing B-roll. It was literally just because I'd started practicing it. And I built that muscle of knowing that I could post things and nothing catastrophic was going to happen. Prior to starting a business, I worked in CBT. And in the year that I spent doing my postgrad, one of the tools I found most interesting was something called an exposure ladder, because the concept is deceptively simple. And the way I always explain it is it's a bit like watching a scary film. The first time you watch it, you feel scared because you don't know what's coming. So every loud noise, every jump scare gets your heart racing. The more times you watch that film, the less scary it's going to feel because you know what's coming, you know when the jumps are, and you know what to expect. The fear doesn't completely vanish. It just softens because you've already experienced it. And the concept of an exposure ladder is that you're gradually building towards the thing that feels scary instead of jumping straight to the thing that scares you most. So when it comes to visibility and posting online, the top of the ladder might be going live to 100 people. So you don't start there. That's too far of a jump. You only start with what already feels manageable. Just like if you were climbing a ladder in real life, you'd go one rung at a time. So for me, the bottom rung was those Canva graphics. Felt really comfortable and confident posting them. Then I started to move into doing Instagram stories, mainly because they disappeared after 24 hours, and so it didn't feel as permanent. Then static photos on the grid, then B-roll, and then eventually talking to camera videos being posted on my grid as well. And at each of those different steps, I repeated it until I felt more comfortable, until the idea of going on to the next step didn't fill me with dread. And the thing that helped me as I moved through those different rungs was remembering that at no point did I have to become someone who loved being seen. It was more about becoming somebody who didn't avoid being seen, who wasn't fearful of it. Because when it comes to building a business, you don't want fear to be controlling the decisions you make. And when I look back, the journey that I took to become more comfortable with visibility, to feel less vulnerable posting online, aligns with my Care, Connect, Create framework almost exactly. Because before I could do anything, I had to look after myself. I had to be aware of where my comfort zone was, aware of how much vulnerability I was willing to feel, and to know which steps were going to make me feel like I was pushing myself without feeling overwhelmed. It was about regulating my nervous system, setting boundaries, blocking accounts that made me spiral, all so that I could protect my energy and gradually feel more comfortable. Connect was all about the little pep talks I gave myself, the remembering why I even wanted to be visible in the first place. Because I didn't want to be visible for the sake of it. It wasn't about vanity metrics or to prove something to somebody. I wanted to be visible because I knew that was how I was going to reach people. That's how I was going to build relationships. That's how I was going to be able to help and support other people. By keeping that in mind, by having that bigger than myself reason for being visible, it helped me to stay motivated, to keep going, even on the days when it felt hard. And then obviously the create aspect was me actually making the content, the post, the video, the thing I was going to share with the world. That was the bit I tried to jump to straight away when I was hiding in Canva graphics. And I see this a lot, people jumping straight to create because it feels safer and more productive. But actually, without looking after your well-being, without knowing why you want to show up and be visible in the first place, you might find that creating content becomes a safe form of procrastination, just like me and my Canva graphics. Let's be honest though, putting yourself online does give people the opportunity to hurt you. I'm a woman, I'm plus size. I've had unkind comments said to me growing up. And even though I was stubbornly strong during my teenage years, those experiences still leave scars. And when you become visible or you go to be visible, every insecurity can feel amplified. There's a fear that people will notice the chinks in your armor, that they'll say the thing you already say to yourself in the mirror. And yes, I'll be honest, I've had comments that I didn't enjoy. But overwhelmingly, people are kind. And I've had to make a decision. Am I going to let the possibility of unkindness outweigh the impact of my mission? Because there are days when I believe in my mission far more than I believe in myself. And on those days, that's enough to keep me showing up. Because I know that if I stop showing up, the message that stories build businesses goes quiet along with me. So here's what I'd love you to reflect on. Are there parts of content creating where you're hiding within your comfort zone? Maybe in Canva like me, maybe in tweaking things, maybe in the scrolling endlessly for research. And if you were to become more visible, what would the next rung on your exposure ladder look like? Not the scariest thing, but the next thing. And finally, does your mission matter to you enough to keep you motivated, even on the days when you don't want to show up? Because there will be days when you don't feel confident, but if you always feel like you've got purpose, it's a lot easier to keep going. If this episode resonated, please do share it with someone else who'd love it, and come and tell me over on Instagram at Stories Build Businesses. See you next time. Bye.